Hello, hello. Welcome back to Not the Highlight Reel. I'm Melissa Mitchner, founder of the Barkshop.
And I'm Jessica, aka Tammy, that works the bingo slots in Atlantic City. I, I'm, I'm the founder of Harlem Chocolate Factory, but also clearly someone with a fanny pack. I hate this shirt. I want to burn it while I'm wearing it.
It's okay. At some point you liked it. You bought it. You thought it was hot.
You know what? I don't know what I was going through. That's why you shouldn't be on Shein when you're not feeling the best. Because you just like, this looked really cute on the girl online and then has translated to straight. I didn't think it was so bingo-y. Like it just, and no shade to the bingo ladies. It's not necessarily my aesthetic, but I couldn't find anything else this morning. It has been a cluster of a week. So, but I'm here with my big old shirt on. So.
And we hit the jackpot today. We have a guest.
Yes! We're excited. So we do have a guest. We have Tammeca, the founder of Harlem Cycle. Harlem in the building.
Yes.
But before we get into that, we have our stories coming up. And the first story I want to get into, because I think this is really, really important to talk about. Snoop Dogg and Master P have landed a distribution deal for their cereals with post-consumer brands. That's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Amazing.
That's amazing. So I'm feeling a little conflicted. Right? Like I have a internal conflict because I want to know more details about what the actual deal is. Right? Like I'm sure money is exchanging hands, but like it's giving very record label press release and I'm trying to understand it, but I'm very, very excited because this is the first Black owned brand to have this kind of distribution deal. And Black people apparently spend $1 trillion a year on breakfast food.
Wow.
Now I could not eat all day, but I'll eat breakfast food all day. Like I'm a Waffle House at 8:00 kind of girl. So like I love breakfast food, but I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Not that I'm anything less than excited because it's an opportunity. But it is very sugary cereal, and I'm not about to hold our brands to a different standard because clearly, I think one is like Snoop Loops, which I'm excited about.
Snoop Loops.
The Snoop Loops is lit, but I do like I want some behind the. So if anybody knows, if you could just, I know it's a lot of NDAs. I would just like to read the deal, just like if there are deals being set up where like it's just distribution, and the percentage points are working. Like, what is a distribution deal for a cereal mean?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, Master P has done the wrap snacks. He's had noodle in the cup. He's done a lot of things with food. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. And maybe that's a part of the distribution and partnering with Post that they can create healthier options because sometimes we don't have the access to the scientists or so partnering with a larger company, they now get to tap into that talent. But shout out to them for the distribution deal.
No,
That's
shout
amazing.
out. It's no hate. I just would like to know how the deal is set up, right? Because if we're thinking about CPG, right, when you think about it, your distributor is the person who takes the products from your facility and gives it to the stores. So they take a little percentage point of what you would get, right? Like if you have a 50% margin and you sell directly to the store is, you sell your thing for $1.99, they get in there 50%, they selling it for $3.99, right? Everybody's happy. But a part of your $1.99, the cost is getting it from your store to them. And what distributors do is handle all of it getting to the store. So you just taking your stuff to one place rather than having to ship it to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 stores, right? And so you give them some of your percentage points. You take a little bit of your $1.99 and you give it to them to cut down on what it would cost you to build out trucks and getting it all over the place. So I'm really interested. Like, I didn't know posted distribution. So, I got a little geeky on my CPG, like, what type of, I don't want it to be 360. Like, I think that, like, so if we think about Black-owned brands, much in how we think about the music industry, when these larger labels started coming in, they started eating our people alive.
Yeah.
And so when you have a deal like this that is published, but the details are left out, I get nervous of some other brand going to another Black-owned brand and like, oh no, this is an amazing opportunity with this press and everything. And in the article, they gifted him a golden spoon. That rubbed me the wrong way. I was just like, I was nervous, but it makes me nervous of like the way in which I feel like sometimes Black people can be pandered to, especially in business, right? And I know these are very, very, very smart businessmen, so I don't think that they're being taken advantage of, but I do get nervous when these kind of press releases go out and the way that impacts smaller brands that may be excited. So if somebody comes to you from, insert big Fortune 500 here and says, hey, we got a distribution deal for you, and it's really a 360 deal, which we know how that affected people in rap with, you basically are giving everyone your money but you. It makes me nervous. So, but shout out to them.
I was going to say, or a large entity comes to you, or these Fortune 500s, and if you don't understand the business, the numbers, it could take your brand out. And you trying to be able to fulfill those orders and not having the cash flow. So, it's exciting.
Say that.
So that's the other thing, not having the cash flow to be able to fulfill the orders or the financing. So I would say, like we've talked about in previous episodes, due diligence. So I'm a firm believer in, like, not all deals are good deals, right? And timing is everything. So getting or aligning yourself with someone that has the expertise in what you're trying to accomplish, and ask every question, right? Because I think even the best attorneys, the best doctors, the best, whatever, at the end of the day, they're all humans, and human beings can lead to human error. So that structure at the very beginning at the onset is the most important. And then you want to think about, what is the end result? Because sometimes you could take a deal and it could blow up, right? And it was bigger than what you thought it could be. And then you sign something, you're like, but I didn't even think it could get this big. And you just, signed yourself out of whatever the biggest. So think about it being the biggest, and then work it, worst case scenario, I want to fail to 15 million, right? Like, what do I want to fail to? Because I think that's something to really think about, like the end and every other scenario, like worst case scenario, best case scenario. How do I walk out of this, right? So I look at a lot of things and like, how do I get out of it? How do I exit? Whether it's in the relationship, like put a clause in there. All of those things matter, because it could cost you a lot of money in litigation and legal fees, and you just don't want those things to happen. So
yeah, and it's really important to, I think, recognize is that, like, people will distribute your products. They have no stake. They get paid when the product moves through their shelves. They have nothing to do with whether or not your manufacturing is ready and on time, whether or not your runs are perfect. That's between you and God and whatever's going on your team. So when people be like, oh, I got picked up by a distributor. Yeah, I mean, some distributors have, like, they're not dealing with certain brands. Like, there's a little, I can't get in the club. They got the velvet ropes outside to make you feel like you're less than, so you could get on with them. And so they can charge you a higher premium, right? Okay, most of the time their work is a little bit better, but you got to pay attention in distribution, which is like a big pitfall, especially for a consumer packaged good. because a distributor will pick you up. They're not in charge of selling it. They're not like, it'll just be in their warehouse and getting dropped. So you have to really, really pay attention when it comes to specifically distribution deals and what that looks like for you as a brand. But big shout outs to Snoop Dogg and Master P, because make him say, like, no, seriously, that was the joint. Master P has always held it down. They want to invest in the culture, invest in the community. And so those opportunities to do so through, just more financial opportunities is just going to be great. If you've never grown up in the hood, we're going to take a hood moment, right? If you've never grown up in the hood in New York, or in New York in general, because I think this is a New York thing, our radiators are loud, right? And my little office is in our basement, and that clanging that you hear that sounds like it's giving 12 years a slave, is giving... It's giving free us. Nah, Melissa's shocked. She's disgusted. But they're just or I was going to say Saul also. Yeah, just all of the scary basement vibes. It is just the radiator. That's what it is. I'm not in any danger if anyone cares. The only thing I'm in danger of is the fashion police coming in to take me away.
Oh, that was funny. The heat is coming up. That's what
First
it means,
of all,
people. The
that
water and
was
the
the
heat
fakest,
is coming up.
oh, that was funny I've ever heard in my entire life.
No, I was
serious.
That was funny. I was being serious. I have a friend who hates when I say, so when I think something is actually funny, I say that's actually pretty funny. And I say it just like that, and she hates it. She's like, that aggravates me because it's so dry. And I'm like, but I actually mean that it's funny. Add me to the
list with her. I'm going to be right there behind her on that list.
All right. Well, you know what? Shifting to Black History Month.
It's giving very much like LOL. LMA. LMAO.
But I was serious.
Nah.
So Target has people both happy and in an uproar about them showcasing Black-owned brands for Black History Month. I want to hear. What do you? I was in Target yesterday.
Yo, people have been pissing me off personally. I'm a Target girl. I know I don't look it. This is a very this shirt doesn't give Walmart, doesn't give Target vibes, but I'm a Target girl at heart. Like, I'm a diehard Target fan. I'm a stand for the company. I am a graduate of a Target Accelerator, so shout out to my folks at the Target Accelerator team. And I know for a fact that they have really, really, really tried to invest not only in like Black statements, but Black owned brands. Mm-hmm. And they're very forward about that as a company. Do certain things make me feel uncomfortable? Because, like, do you want a white woman wearing a bold, black, and bougie t-shirt? I don't know how to feel about that. But at the same time, why not, right? Like, it kind of puts me in a space to kind of confront my own things around how sometimes we want to keep things to ourselves to the point where we will take these brands and chokehold them. Like, why should you not be in these venues and letting the comforts of Blackness and what that interaction might look like in a public field, in a public forum, such as a Target? Why do I have to wait 2 weeks for shipping and pay for shipping? Why I can't, when I'm on the way to get some extra sour cream for my 4th round of quesadillas for the week, why I can't go pick up a shirt that acknowledges my Blackness at the same time? So, but people were like, I think people were originally confused about whether or not the brands were actually Black owned. And I think this year they've done a great job of communicating the fact that the brands themselves, we're not just highlighting Blackness, but we're giving Black owned brands a true opportunity and the clothes us fly.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I was like, okay, Target, I see what you're doing. I too love Target. I think they have been supporters and very forward in, supporting Black brands, Black and Bold Coffee, Honey Pot. When Honey Pot, they gave, B a whole segment, right? Like, that was the first time I saw a black person talking about vaginal products and feminine products. So it's like, wow, this is dope on a major network. It makes me think about
she got torn up for that though,
and I know
my fault. She got torn up. The racists to the capital S, they was tearing her up. So I think that's like a part of it. My fault. But it just like we get afraid that when we get put out there that somebody will attack us for that. But
yeah, I also think too, when you're an innovator, and this has happened to me in business, you don't account for the adaption rate, right? Because Walmart has done this. So like how people are going to receive it, right? How long is it going to take to convert people to see the value in this thing, right? It's very new for us. Can you stop?
Adaption rate. I'm about to write that down.
She's so annoying. It's very new for us, right? We, as a culture, we haven't seen these larger companies, welcome and, put us out there. And it's like, I don't really know. Do I trust this, right? I think I want to know who was on the marketing team, right? And was there a person of color on that marketing team to say, not only are we going to introduce this, but I think you also have to be really clear in the story behind it, right? Because consumers value the story. We identify with, the founder, whatever that story is. So I think that's something important as these larger companies create the space. Think from beginning to end, like, what is the message we want to land here? Like, if they said, we stand behind Black-owned businesses. We've always stood behind Black-owned businesses, and we're excited to highlight these companies. Or this was created by, this hoodie was created by so-and-so from Brooklyn, right? And a percentage of this will go to X community. It could be like LGBTQ, non-binary, Black teens, or then it's like, oh, I'm more invested. Like I clearly understand what you were trying to do here. So I think it goes to marketing, and also, like, I want to be clear, we need people. This is why it's so important to have diversity, because you get different perspectives, and someone in the room could say, hey, that's not going to really land right the way that it's supposed to. Like, I was listening to the autobiography, or like I think it's called My Life in Full by Nuri. She was the former CEO of Pepsi, and she was saying, like, they didn't get feminine pads until like the 90s in India, and they had to account for it, which is crazy. It's wild, right?
It's crazy.
But it was looked down upon, right? Because that's what they had been doing for so long, and because she was Indian, she knew how to speak to the people or relay the message to the marketing team to get the buy-in up, because there's cultural competency, right? I guess that's what I'm really trying to get to.
Yeah.
As a company, you have to have cultural competency. And for some people, that is, for a lot of brands, that's their superpower, or that's people's superpower. So that's what I was trying to say. Thank you for coming to the...
Hit us what the terminology says.
I can't.
Hit us with the terminology. Please, come on, enlighten us. We appreciate it. Go ahead and check in on your cultural competency. Yes, we love it. I do want to take a second to give shout outs, because we just got to get a shout out. It ain't a story, but shout outs to Auntie Tab for what the way they rolled out the red carpet for Auntie Tab. We got to make that a story next week. We got to go into that. I can't wait to have her on the show. But, Auntie Tab, the way the carpet is rolled out for her up in Target, and the way that she is just dominating the vegan food world. First of all, the top two people in the vegan food world right now are two Black women, between Pinky Cole and Tabitha Brown. Y'all are shutting it down. So those are your flowers, sis. Like, we are inspired. I just had them burgers last night, Tab. I got some granola in my bag. I'm so excited to eat it. I want to get all of the things, but they are selling out of the damn spatulas in the bowls. I'm pissed. I want the little avocado bowl, so I can say like that while I'm eating my little hummus. Come on.
Shout out to Auntie Tab. She was so nice. We sent her some product for Blackie, and she was so welcoming and like posted us and stuff. So absolutely. And it is actually really nice. I told you I was in Target yesterday. I was
Yo,
like, this
the
is a
stuff is
actually
nice.
nice end cap, like the way it's
The end caps
merchandised.
is crazy. People don't know how much end caps are. Do you understand? Y'all don't understand the investment. This ain't something at a few. This ain't one of those things. Like, understand, each and every store has its own demographic. This ain't just at the black Targets. We gonna be transparent. We're gonna be keeping real, right? This ain't just. This is at every single Target. Do you understand the investment? And sis got a little like, it's like a little newspaper, or like it's like a magazine. Her own magazine printed up. Do you know the cost to print something up like that, and to have it scale out across every single store? Target got what, like 2,000 stores? Like 1,900?
Yeah. They up there. They got
wrong.
enough.
They up there. Got enough. Enough way. We talking about some real coins invested. Not only invested in her, but invested in the branding of her, which is like profound. Sis has rolled out against several categories: homewares, snacks, fresh food, and sauces and dips. Are you like, do you know like how many segments? My mind is blown, and I am in your awe. We are in your debt for what you have done and showed us the way and being authentic the entire time. Auntie Tab, we love you, and we are just proud of you. And get that coin, because nobody's talking about that. Like, nobody's talking about the coin. The coin is crazy because everything's sold out. Everything's sold out.
Get the coin, and if you're listening, stay true to the journey, because timing. She often talks about how long she's waited for these moments and the sacrifice. So just keep on that journey. You know, yesterday I was here, and they have a great Black history. If you have Apple Music, I'm not that cool yet. I'm gonna get Spotify. But if you have Apple Music, they have a really good Black history jazz playlist, and I listened to the entire playlist, and just all of the like, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And it was like jazz artists that I had never heard of before. Like, I love John Coltrane and, you know, Sarah Vaughan, but just the amount of talent, and it went from like past to present. And as I was here like reflecting, and I listen to like classical music or jazz music a lot at really loud volumes, because it like calms me down and I can just think. And I said, my God, the level of talent that these people had and were able to do. Like, they were playing some really hard composed music. Like, I love the saxophone. I'm like, he's not breathing. It's no way that he's doing this and breathing. Or like, she's killing it. It was just beautiful. So like, as we talk about Black History Month, I want us, and I really reflect on this, and I sent some text out, and I was like, I'm not crazy. It was just very random. You know, we are here intentionally, and don't be afraid to take up space. And it really made me think about what our ancestors have been through, and like the people that were here before us, to allow us to be able to make these things happen. Like even us right now, right? And like having this podcast and things that we were like, is that possible? Because I think sometimes we do go through that. We're like, is this possible, right? Tabitha Brown probably had that moment. Master P, I watched his No Limit Soldiers documentary, and he said Jimmy Iovine offered him $1 million, and he said, when he offered me $1 million, I knew I could get 5. Because if that was his lowest number, I'm keeping on my publishing. Like, people don't talk about a lot of the things that the people have done before us to make it happen. And, you know, I study the greats, and I want to look at the mistakes that people have made. And, you know, we're here for a reason, and it's possible. I think it's possible now more than ever. And there'll be moments where you may feel defeated. You may feel like, you know, someone just tried to throw a rock at your glass ceiling, but there was really no ceiling. And you just have to remember, like, this is a glimpse of what life could be. And, like, your life could be lit for a lifetime, right? And I really live in that. So if you're listening, I want you to know that, right? I want you to expand your mind, expand your network. You know, it's important. I guess that's what I was really trying to say. I was just, I had to say that. It came from the heart.
Good. It came from the heart. It came from the heart. All right. Well, we enjoy Melissa's heart. It is the best part of her. Right now, we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we will be live and direct with, well, not live. We're going to be live. You not. But God bless you. With Tammeca from Harlem Cycle. See y'all in a second. Hey guys, welcome back. We are here with our guest, super excited friend,
Yes.
sister.
My inspiration.
Sister, right? Like real life sister. This is Tammeca from Harlem Cycle. We need sound effects aside. Come on. All right. Tammeca is an all-around amazing person. And so this is our first interview on here, so bear with us. If it sucks, mind your business, and we'll get it together next week. But for right now, this is how we gonna run through it. We're gonna share Tammeca's highlight reel, and then we're gonna get into her anti-highlights. All right.
And I just want to say she's like one of my favorite people because she has pivoted and switched her career a few times. And we all know as you get older, it's harder to take those, big leaps. So Tammeca was a mechanical engineer and worked at Colgate for 13 years and transitioned to brand management with Palmolive. And then decided
NASA.
to just...
And NASA.
And NASA. Excuse me. She's
care.
smart.
I tell everybody. She's smart.
And then decided to open a fitness studio. A spin studio.
Yes.
So...
Yeah. She was going to different studios downtown after having her son, like all of us. Well, except me. I just decided to eat. But I'm going to follow in Tammeca's footsteps one day. But Tammeca wanted to be healthy and work out. I can see my one little side half dimple over here, so I'm getting to it, right? Follow her lead. But she was going to fitness studios downtown and couldn't find anything that fit the vibe. So she decided to open Harlem's first spin studio. Now she's the owner of...
Applause. With applause.
Right, yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Come on, we gotta get some sound effects aside. Come on. Assad is the man with the magic. He's the magic man in the back. Y'all gonna meet him one day. But now she's the owner of not one but two locations. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Opened up that second one during the pandemic. Okay. While y'all was out there scamming and running, she's opening businesses. I really wish y'all would have told me about how y'all could scam and run, but whatever. It's okay. She won $10,000 from MasterCard's pitch competition. Won several other grants. She gets that money. And
she created her own fitness platform and luxury wellness retreat. So please, everybody get ready for Tammeca Rochester. Woo!
Yeah.
Ah, thank you so
Jamaica.
much.
Okay.
Well, yep, that was the highlight reel. Y'all really highlighted all the best moments. But y'all know that ain't the real moments.
So we want you to feel
Yeah.
comfortable. We want you to feel comfortable here to just share, a story that's like near and dear to you in terms of just that makes this process that's very beautiful a little bit more real.
Right. Entrepreneurship it's not for the weak at heart. There are definitely some highs, but there's also a lot of lows, and that's how we can recognize the highs because the lows do come too. And so one story I always think about is before I even opened. So before I even opened, at the time I was working in brand management at Colgate, and I was so frustrated with these workout options, and I was just like, it just has to be a better, why isn't there one in my neighborhood? But I at the time was like, but I don't know anything about fitness. I don't, just because you go to a studio doesn't mean you're an expert in fitness. And so I was like, well, I just need to find someone who knows fitness, and then maybe we could work together because I know brand management. I have, the engineering background, so I have the project management background. I can do all the other things. I just don't know fitness. I was looking for a partner to kind of help me take it to the next step. I reached out to a lady whose class I had discovered at the local YMCA, and I thought, oh, perfect. She's in the community. She's, she has the same kind of vibe and energy that I would want my classes to have, something that's a little bit more culturally relevant to the neighborhood. So I reached out to her and was like, hey, have you ever considered opening your own studio? Of course, she was amazed at the idea and loved it, which was absolutely amazing because I was like, this was perfect, a match made in heaven, right? Perfect. 2 women, we're going to start our studio, we're going to do it in our community. One of us has the business background, the engineering background, the other one has the fitness background. It seemed like the perfect partnership.
Cue Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger, right? Like, it was just perfect. It seemed like it just landed perfectly. And now, granted, I'm also one of those people who, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm doing it now. Like, it has to happen now. So this happened in October when I reached out to her. By December, I'm looking at leases. Like, we don't have time to be playing around. And so, red flag number 1. I wrote the business plan and I, sent it to her and said, hey, I want your input. Let's sit down. Let's spend a day together kind of going through it, making sure all of our ideas are, like we're aligned, we're synced. Because, finding a business partner is equally, I told Melissa earlier, I was like, it's like finding a husband, right? Like, if your values aren't aligned, if you're, if you don't manage money the same way, if your ideas aren't meshing, like it could be a terrible, situation that's just going to lead to frustration after frustration after frustration. And so every part of the process, I was like, okay, well, let's just sit down and review together. Like, even if I did it, like I wrote the business plan, went through all the numbers, went through all of this, and I was like, okay, I sent it to you, but like, let's really sit down. Like, let's go page by page, just talk through it, because writing back an email saying, oh, I love this, I agree, is not necessarily meaning you're really in alignment, right? Like, we all know how we get emails, you're like, yeah, I read it.
Now, quick question. Were you intending to bring her on as like a 50% business partner?
50% business partner.
Did it alarm you that you were doing that much work for someone you was going to bring on and give 50%?
So
okay, sorry. Listen,
you're pointing out the red flags when I should have seen them, right? Because I was so excited that I was like, we need a studio in this community. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this business happen, and not realizing that you're already doing all of the work. This is your first red flag. You're doing the major part of the work, and you hadn't even started anything yet. So that was red flag number 1. I'm doing the business plan, and she didn't want to really review it. She was like, oh, it looks good, whatever you say. All right, but that's not really 50-50. Number 2, red flag number 2. I get a call from the broker, and she connected me to the broker because she knew a local broker in Harlem. So we just went to her, and we started looking at places. And the broker called me and said, hey, Tammeca, I'm not going to put her information on any of these applications because you won't be approved. And I say, well, what does that mean? Exactly.
What?
I'm like, what do you mean it won't be approved? She was like, you need to sit down with your business partner and ask her details about it.
It's giving axe murderer.
It's giving
axe murderer.
All the things. And I'm just like, well, we went, I sent her and so the thing too is when I send an email, I send a summary of things that I need you to pay attention to. So when I sent her the business plan, I was like, here's startup costs. Here's the cost broke down by 50%. Like, here's what we need to bring to the table. Let's talk about, let's hold hands and just be like, yes, we're good.
So how much money you got on this? That's what, like, hello.
That's really what the emails, all the conversations, like, so you recognize, like.
Snaps on the petro.
We put some real numbers here, and we got to come up with this number. And so I got the call from the broker, and she's like, I'm not putting her in. She was like, you will not get approved with anything with this. Like, this doesn't make sense. And so I go back to her, and I was like, I need to understand why she would say this. And come to find out, she had all these financial problems, her house is in foreclosure, all these things. Right. And she was like, well, it's fine. You don't have to put my name on anything. I would prefer if you didn't. And I was like, but that's the number 1 liability is the lease. So the biggest liability we had would have been in my name only. Again, here's red flag number 3. Well, red flag number 2 was me. The problem was me because I didn't have enough confidence in myself to recognize these red flags are a problem.
Say that one more time.
Oh, say that. Run that back, Petro.
All these red flags, whatever
I'm
these red
terrible.
flags are, the problem wasn't her. The problem was me. The problem was me
Jesus.
not understanding my worth and what I brought to the table. Because I was like, I'm just an engineer. I'm just, capable of running $1 billion budget at a Fortune 500 company, but somehow I didn't have enough confidence in myself to open a small brand in my neighborhood. Like,
oh, I'm about to shout. Hold on, because she's speaking to me. Because it's like dating.
it's right.
When do you walk away? How do you know your worth?
How do you know your worth? Like, it was like I didn't recognize my worth because I was just like, well, I don't teach cycling. Okay. Like, not recognizing that there are plenty of people you could just hire to do that. Right?
Also, you teach cycling. Like, I've taken your class.
Right. And, I'm an amazing instructor now. We'll put a pin on that for later. But, so these were the things that, I was like, all these red flags that she didn't have the money. She wanted the liabilities in my name only. But also, I still was trying to find a way. I found all these things. I was like, okay, well, at the time, my boyfriend, I told him, he looked over all the numbers for me. And we went to business school together. So once I got his blessing for the numbers, I knew we were onto something. And he was like, I think this is a really good business plan. Like, you really should do this. And I was like, but she doesn't have the money. And I don't have that other half. And he was like, well, I will loan it to her. But he has to pay me back in 5 years. I won't charge any interest, but I need her to come up with a plan on how she's going to pay me back. And now mind you, boyfriend, not husband, not fiance, boyfriend, was willing to do this.
Any cousins?
Cause like, what?
We
like,
have to
cause
go
the way I'm over here arguing with people about hamburgers and cheeseburgers. Like, this is crazy to me. Cause you didn't have to start on us like this.
Is like blowing your mind, right? And I take this offer to her, and she's like, well, I don't understand why I have to pay back in 5 years. Like, why is there such a timeline? Why is there such a tight timeline? Like, completely, like, how dare she looked at me.
Yeah.
The audacity! Wait. Let's take a second. Because, Tammeca, I didn't even know this, sis. Hold on. So,
listen.
Your man said that he gonna dig into his pocket, hold her down, and says, sis, no interest, no nothing.
Just, you need to come up with a plan on how
I just want it on less than a misdemeanor charge. 5 years.
Right.
5 years probation.
Lord Jesus.
Right.
Basically,
right.
And that's how much he believed in you, right? Also, I got to start hanging down at NYU because I need people that could just give me $25,000.
Get away from us. Like,
but I mean, again, this is how strong the idea was, how strong my business plan was. And remind you, these are all the things I did. And he believed in it so much. He was like, no, this is amazing. Like, you did the work. Like, you can do this. And he believed in me more than I did because I was like, well, I still need a partner. I still need a partner. Like, we got to make sure she can be my partner.
But hold on, because I done found God right here in this moment. Hold on. But did you see that there was a correlation between the partnership that you had at home and think that there was a way to replicate that, like, that stability in this business partnership?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and see, like I said, it's when you find a business partner, it is a marriage. Yeah. And so if they're not bringing if you're like, when you look for your mate and your man and you be like, well, he needs to have these kind of values, he needs to be able to do this, that's the same way you should look at your business partner. Because the fact that she was in such a big financial crisis and they were all kind of self-inflicted, like she just didn't manage money. Why would I get into a business with someone who doesn't know how to manage money?
Yeah, the foreclosure, I would have been like, I'm good.
Right. Until when given a gift of money was like, I shouldn't have to pay back. We're partners. Like, I shouldn't have to pay this back. Like,
that's
he giving me to the business. And I'm like, he don't know you, man. Like,
also, sis, don't do too much on talking about what my man need to be doing for you.
Right.
Guys, don't do too much on that. Don't do too much.
And I was like, I'm jeopardizing my relationship by even bringing this to the table. Like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm a single mom. I'm like, come on. If I can come up with it, you can come up with it. So that was red
But I
flag
think
number
there's
3.
beauty.
It's
There's some
yes,
beauty here, right?
it's the
Like,
beauty here.
how amazing is it that someone believed in your business plan? And we all know what that feels like to be seen, right? It's the best feeling in the world because
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not crazy, right?
yeah.
But how hard is that for Black female entrepreneurs? If we're gonna
Right.
talk about it, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Because, no, I mean, let's face it, at the time, I was a 6-figure earner at Colgate-Palmolive, extensive career, have my 401k in check. I don't spend money. Y'all gonna see me in the same earrings, the same sweatshirt 10 years from now. And I couldn't get a loan from the bank for this business. They were just like, we don't know you. And I'm just like, but I see all these other people failing upwards and they get money all the time. I actually can prove to you that I manage my money. I have excellent credit. So it was like all those things that it was like out in the world, as a Black woman entrepreneur, no one was willing to accept my idea. No one. But I had a boyfriend who was at home was like, no, this is something you need to do. Like, I believe in you. But then I'm out here looking for a partner because I didn't believe in me. It's craziness.
Ooh.
Craziness.
Ooh, come on, somebody.
Craziness.
Ooh.
But the thing about it, and so as this is all progressing within a 2-month period, right? And you know how when you have like those like you know in the back you're like this isn't right, right? Mm-hmm. And I know my gut check is I ain't tell my mama.
Uh-oh.
Because I knew if I had told my mom, like, this woman isn't, she would have been like, are you out your mind? Like, what are you thinking? I didn't tell my mom or my sister. My sister's an attorney. They would have been like, absolutely not. This is the dumbest thing you've ever come up with. Like, this partnership is stupid. Like, they would have like, they would have been like,
no, wait, but how do you balance that? Because I know sometimes, like, especially in this whole, like, being silenced like the G and lasagna, like this whole idea that you supposed, and I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say this sometimes, like, oh, I don't want to share what's going on because of X, Y, and Z. I don't want anybody to discourage me or anything like that. So how do you balance out the feeling between not wanting to be discouraged from your actual idea and not and needing to be discouraged from the stupidity of trying to carry out that idea?
Oh, here's the thing. I told my mom and my sister that I'm pursuing this and I'm going to start a site soon. And they were like, great. Did you look at the numbers? Because I was raised with, did you balance your check? Like, can you do it? My mom's like, well, great for you, dear, whatever. My sister's like, that sounds amazing. I know you can do it. But I didn't tell them the detail of the partnership. I said, oh, and I have a business partner. She's in the fitness side of it. And they're like, oh, that's great. So, they're seeing the big picture like, oh, well, you'll do the business and she'll do fitness. This is perfect for you, and, all the things. And I was still maintaining my full-time position, so the risk was limited on me. And so they're like, oh, this is great. But I didn't tell them the details of how this partnership was being etched out, like how she wasn't going to put up anything, how all the liability was going to be in my name, how she didn't even have the time to like really review the ideas in the business plan or anything of that nature, all those little things. But, even with having conversations with her, when I started seeing our values were just not aligned at all. And it was just like, even looking for the kind of bikes we wanted. And it was just like, oh, well, this guy, we're going to, she was kind of like doing stuff under the slide, like, oh, we'll tell them we're only going to do this, but we really need this. And I'm like, I don't operate like that. I don't, if I say we're going to do this is what we're going to do. Like, I don't operate in my day to day, and I won't operate in business like that. And so our values were just totally not aligned. But the straw, and all of this, and the straw that broke the camel's back was literally 4 days before I go to sign the lease. And I'm like, okay, the lease, February 1st, they're like, Tammeca, congratulations, you were approved for this amazing space. I, took the time, I found an attorney from, who went to high school with me. He looked over the lease for me. And so February 1st was my signing date. And the weekend, the week before, she calls me and she's like, I just want to know, why do you want to be my business partner? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm confused by this question. Like, but why do you want to be my business partner? She's like, because you have the money and I need it.
Oh.
It was like a literal gut punch in my stomach, right? Because I was like, what? I thought we were building something, not you're using me for my money. She's like, and honestly, since I'm in fitness, I feel like this should be 70% and you 30%. And
oh, she's crazy.
The audacity!
I said, but you're not bringing 70% of nothing. You're not bringing 70% of ideas. You're not bringing 70% of, like, what is the 70% you're bringing to the table? It's not financial. It's not physical. Like, what are you bringing to the table that's 70%?
Lucky and it was just get a smooth 7%.
Right. You're lucky if I allow you to even be hired on as a teacher, right?
Literally.
So it was like such a gut punch because I was like, and you waited till I'm a week out from signing this lease. And she was like, well, I know that you can't do this without me. And I was like, and then once she said that, I said, bet. That was it. And then I told my mama, and my mama yelled for hours, was like, I raised you. I told my mama, I told my sister, and they were both like, have you lost your mind? Like, why would you even, this isn't even a partnership or a deal. Like, what on earth? Like, and then they were mad at my boyfriend. They were like, how did he let you get this far down with this crazy woman like this? Sorry, and I was like, but, again, my mom was like, but why would you do this? And I was like, because I'm raising my son, I'm working full time. How do I start a business? You know, it was like, I just kept seeing all the stresses and the things that would come with it. And I was like, it's great. And I had this amazing idea and I know it's going to do well, but I also recognize I have a 4-year-old son. I work full time. I'm the senior brand manager on Palmolive, you know, a major brand. This ain't something I could just hide in the corner and be like, Colgate's going to forget about me over here. I got to show up. And I'm also, you know, one of the few black people, so they check for you every day. And so it was just like, I know this is great. I know it's going to be amazing, but I physically can't do this by myself. And that's how I felt. But the moment she said it, I was like, girl, she don't know who I am. Right?
I'll do a translator for you. Girl, you got me fucked up.
But it was a really low point, right? Like, that was a really low point for me. I spent the whole weekend crying because first, it was the up and the down. It was like this amazing idea, but I was seeing it going away. It was like, oh my God, how am I going to... Then it was back up again, and it was like, but I can do this. But it was like, but I'm going to do it by myself. And my little 4-year-old was like playing, like, but I'm like, but I'm already tired. I'm tired of my life as it is. Like, I'm going to add a whole new business to it. And so it was like a very, very low point. So I took that weekend of just crying and like just sitting with myself. And I showed up for that to sign my lease. I'm unsure, just not as ready and not as confident. I signed that lease February 1st. By February 4th, I had taken a spinning instructor training. By February 15th, I had reincorporated, changed the name, changed over the lease, started my website, had already had my contractors in there. And so, like, a month and a half from that point, we opened our doors. And it's been amazing and up and down still. But that was, like, the lowest point for me, was trying to get past that initial hurdle of just really standing in my truth and recognizing who I am and what I brought to the table.
So, 2 things really quickly. One, I want to just say shout out to you because I think naturally people tend to see the good in people sometimes. So that means you're a nice human being, right? Like, you saw the good in this person when she was clearly letting you know she wasn't crap. And the second thing is, like, what advice would you give to someone starting a new company?
So I say the first thing is, like, listen to that gut feeling, right? Listen to that little voice in your head that's like, ooh, I don't know. Like, whatever the I don't know is, and this has actually guided me since then. Like, whenever I'm, like, hesitant, either it's from hiring someone or, like, making a move on something, and whenever I feel myself hesitating, I take a full stop. Like, a full stop to reevaluate.
I love that. We can't wait to have you back and share more stories. I want to hear more about the things you aren't telling your mama.
Well, I want to know. Hold on, because we mentioned him a few times. Is the boyfriend still around?
Yes, he is. The boyfriend's not fiance.
Ow! Come on now! That's how we do it. All right?
Fiance is here, yes.
Fiance. That's the thing. And that's not no highlight. That's not no perfection. That's not no nothing. That is the epitome of love. And oh my God, I got chills listening to that, because that is just, I mean, it's just such a journey inward. And I think you deserve all the flowers of being in that space and getting that reminder that even when you think less of yourself, there are people around you that think the world of you. And there's a big difference between doing it alone and bringing on someone that is going to cause a deficit. And we can see how easily we turn those people into monsters around us. The people who are sent to drain us, like, we give them the power. And you reclaiming your power, the best thing she could ever did is start feeling herself and getting comfortable. So I can't wait. Oh my God, yes. That's just one story. Listen, okay, yes. Right?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect way to end, right? Like,
right
beautiful
here.
Story.
She did that.
The words of Auntie Maxine, reclaiming my time. Right? And we'll be back. We're gonna toast to a break, and we'll be back with some upcoming topics.
Ooh, we're back. Okay. Lord,
I just want to say, I wish I had somebody give me $25,000.
Okay, yo, I don't. I'm ugly. Like I don't know. I gotta work some things out. There's some things I got to talk to the little therapist lady about. I gotta go talk to the lady, because that just did it. But I am just so glad to have understood the story from that level and gotten it. Like, the belief you have to have in yourself is amazing, and when you stray from it, it could really cost you some things if you don't listen. So I'm just so grateful to Tammeca to share that, because she could have hid that out and made it seem like she just opened and got started and whatever. So I'm happy to have just been a part of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think we just got to leave our closing tip, right? This was just such a great episode. And our closing tip: don't let celebrities drain you. If someone says they want to support your business, send that invoice, baby. Unless you have a clearly calculated discussion on how this is going to count as promo, then think twice on sending products or offering services, assuming you'll be taken care of.
Send that invoice, baby.
And we're out. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Thank you, Tammeca Rochester of Harlem Cycle again. And tune in. Yes. We'll be back with even more. And hopefully
guests. I'll win on the bingo slots after this. Bingo. Here we go. Bingo.
All right, so we out.
Later.